Hey guys, thank you for joining us for our third and final session of the Madison County T-shirt project. We're excited to be back with you today. Today we're actually going to be covering the final stages of the process of really any T-shirt job. So just to recap what we've done so far, we've collected all the submissions that you guys have sent in. We chose a few. Thank you so much for those. We combined those and we created the artwork that you saw with us on Friday, and then we created those film separations, and then we used those to create the screens. And that was the process with the pressure washer and going through all of that. So today we're actually going to be showing you how we go from separations all the way to printed T-shirts. So I'm going to let Devin take it from here, and he's going to walk you through the process of where we stopped last time.
All right, so last time we actually took the separations and we made the screens, which I've got right here. And we talked about how the screen is open, which allows the ink to come through. And we kind of mentioned these parts around here. It's called the gutters, which are open screen. And what we have to do is find a way to fill those up or cover those up so that the ink doesn't accidentally seep through here and get on the shirts as we're running them around the press. So the first step we do is we call it taping up the screen, and we actually are going to just apply tape to it and just cover up all the parts that we don't want to print, like the registration mark. So the only part we want to print is the design itself. So what we're actually going to do is cover up the rest of it. So I'm going to go through taping up the screen. Now we have a little tape dispenser here, but I kind of do it old school with my mouth. So I'll go through and show you how we do the tape up the gutters. So we tape it on the inside and the outside. And just kind of go all the way around, a couple pieces per side. Alright, so here we've got the inside pretty much done, but we still have some of the open parts, and you can't put any tape on the inside part because the squeegee would catch the tape and it would just tear it off. So you can go around the edges where the squeegee doesn't actually reach to, but we cover the rest of it up on the back. So we're going to double tape it around the gutters, and then we're going to tape over the crop marks or the registration marks. So I'll do a quick demo here. And then, like I said, we're going to tape over the details about the design and the registration marks. Now, one of the questions I've had people ask me before is, why do you tape over these, and how are you going to see them to register them on the press? Because, you know, we actually put the tape over them. Well, the tape is kind of clear, so you can still see through it. And so the next step is that we'll walk over to the press, and I'm going to show you how we actually set it up on the press. So, all right, so this is our automatic press. It's an M&R brand press. It actually has 10 heads, which means it can print up to 10 colors. It has what's called 12 stations, tabletops, or sometimes they're called pallets or platens. So we can set up, like I said, up to 10 colors on here, and this is going to show you how we're going to set it up in one head. So each one of these is a head. They have a little electric motor that has a what's called a flood stroke and a print stroke. So we'll talk more about that in a minute when we get it set up. But first of all, I'm going to show you how we actually put it on the press. So the first thing we do, and I'll spin this around to where we can see it, is we have a little template, a little board that we made that just lays on the one of the tabletops, and you make sure it's straight. And it will serve as a guide to use to get the registration marks in the right place. So we just put it in place, lock the end back on. And these little things, they're just called yellow cords, very technical name for them. But you break these for safety, and what that means is that the press can't spin or anything accidentally turned while you're inside here, because you actually do step inside it a little bit when you're doing the registration. So you always have to make sure you break those to allow the press, not to allow the press to spin at all, because you do not want to get hit by this thing. All right, so now what I'm doing is tabling up. And I don't know how much you can see of this, but I'm actually using the little template on the table to line up my registration marks, lock them in place. Now this also has micro registrations, like the print we're going to do today is 2 colors, but I'm only going to set up the one. And I've actually, this is just for demonstrations, we've already got the other 2 colors that we're going to print today already set up. So this is just to show you how it works. But so what we would do is use this, the micro registration is if you're off just a little bit, you can unlock these and it just dials it in very precisely, because you have to get really, really tight registration to make sure that the colors line up together and print correctly. So we'll drop the head back down. I'll take my template off and we'll do a test print of the other 2 colors that I've already got set up. So, all right. So I've got a test shirt here we'll use. You always want to make sure it prints right before you start on the real shirts. First of all, this is a little spray tack, because the shirts kind of have to stay in place.
Yeah, anytime you're printing a multicolor design, you need to make sure that your shirt doesn't move between the time that you print the first color and the time you print the second color.
All right. And then you may see these we've got a little laser grid set up. This is showing me where the top part of the print is going to hit, so this helps you when you're first setting up to make sure you get everything loaded in the right space. It's especially important, like if you're printing it like above a pocket or anything, you can move your laser grid and set them to help give you a guide of where to load the shirt to. All right, so I'm going to run this around. I'm actually going to manually do the test print. So these, the heads have numbers here. We have this design set up in head number 5 and head number 10. So the middle one and the last one. And you'll see that there's actually other screens in the press, and those are from previous jobs. So the good thing is you can actually leave them in there, and then you don't have to tear down the job every time, as long as you're careful. So I'm going to spin it around.
And that's one unique thing about screen printing ink, is that it doesn't dry out. The plastisol ink doesn't dry out. It'll actually last quite a bit of time there in the screen. So
yep. Check, make sure I got it on head 5 there. And everything's controlled by touchscreen here, so we'll go ahead and do a test print on head 5. And then you'll be able to actually see it when we test it print on head 10. And this one I'm going to do a little, it's called a flash dry, so I'm going to dry it just in case it's off. Is it on? All right. So what this is doing is, there's a little thing called a flash dryer in one of the heads, and it will actually dry the first print so that if you're off or anything, it won't get ink on the back of your second print.
You want to show them what it looks like with just the one color?
Yeah. So here is the first color. You can see it's the white. And if you remember, I said we were going to go a little bit light. So these are actually little dots of white ink that allow a little bit of the shirt color to show through, give it kind of a faded look. And then you can see the open parts that we're going to print the navy ink and fill all those up with the words in there. So I'll spin it back around to head 10 and can get a shot of that, and we'll do a test print on 10. All right, I'll actually do this again just so I can explain. So what the press does is when it moves forward, it has a plate on the back that's called a flood bar. And what the flood bar does is it floods the ink over top of the design. Then it raises up and the squeegee itself drops down and prints. So it floods, prints. So the forward stroke is a flood stroke, the back stroke is a print stroke. So I'll do it again to demonstrate. So there's the flood, and there's the print. So now, then we'll check it and make sure everything's lined up. Looks like it is. And now we can see what the hashtag is in there from the Navy. It looks like we're good to go. So what we're going to do is actually run a couple of prints so you can see how it's automated.
And this is all part of the test print sequence. We do this for every job, make sure everything's lined up.
Yeah. And if this were an order that was taken by one of our sales reps, at this point we do the test print, it goes through the dryer, it gets dried, and we actually take it up and double check and get a signature that everything looks correct on the print itself before we proceed with it. So everything gets
what
signed
happens
off.
in this dryer?
All right, as it goes through the dryer, what happens is this is how the ink bonds to the shirt. So before we send it through the dryer, if you rubbed it or anything, you know, the ink would smear because it's still wet. What happens is the ink chemically changes when it reaches a certain temperature, around 320 degrees for 15 to 20 seconds. And when that comes out, the ink actually chemically changes and bonds to the cotton or polyester. And once it's out the end, it's ready to wear. This is a thing that a lot of people ask us about. We label every job here with a little label so that we know which shirts go with which job. And a long time ago we started the tradition of just sticking it on our cart. So now we have lots of jobs on our cart, which is kind of funny. This is several layers deep and it builds up, and we've actually got 3 more carts now that we're starting on. So
3 more carts and a couple screen racks.
Yeah, screen racks. So lots of things around here have all these little jobs, and they're kind of fun because every now and then you'll see one that you'll remember doing. All right, so what we'll do now is we'll show you how the actual automation part of it works. Oh, I'm gonna give it a little spray. Now normally this would go much faster than we're going to do today because there would be 2 people running it. There's a loader and an unloader. So we've got everything programmed into which heads to print and everything. So when we start a run, it will know where to print. So I'll do 3 or 4 and then I'll end the run and we'll go from there. Okay, so we can actually put it in auto mode. So you get pretty good at loading shirts straight. And quickly. This machine can easily, probably we average about 400 prints shirts an hour. We've hit faster speeds than that, but it's hard to maintain because it's pretty fast when it's going that fast. Now we're not moving at nearly that speed right now. All right, I'll go ahead and end it after this. So I just tell the shirt, or tell the press when I load the last shirt. It knows that that's the end of it, so it'll go on the round and it'll finish up the run. So normally, like if we were doing 300, 400 shirts, you know, you just continuously load and unload until they're done. Like I said, there's normally a loader and unloader. Now, in times like this, we can't stand that close together, so we're actually not doing that, so one person has to run it now.
Yeah, we're coming up on 200 shirts sold, so we're really excited about that, but certainly have a lot of work to do. But hopefully whenever we go to that long run, we'll actually start going at a better pace.
All right. I'm going to stop it because I've got a little something in one of the screens. But anyway, this will give you an idea of the process and how it works. And then Matt's going to grab them off the end of the dryer and we'll finish up.
So when they do come out of the end of the dryer, they are quite a bit hot to the touch, but the ink is cured and it's permanently bonded, and as soon as it comes out, it's ready to wear, ready to wash, everything. So there's no additional dry time or cool down time necessary or anything like that. So, you know, a lot of the times as these shirts are rolling through, you know, we're just stacking them on top of each other, and then obviously they get counted and folded and boxed. And so if you pick up your t-shirts quick enough, you'll literally open the box and the t-shirts still feel hot off the press. So like I said, as soon as it comes out, it is ready to go. There you go. All ready for you.
So I'll quickly talk about the what do we do with the screens after we're done, because obviously it would be very expensive if you use the screen one time and then you're done with it, because you know, they're aluminum frames, so that they're not cheap. So what we do is we call it reclaiming them, or redoing, or cleaning them out and using them over. So I'm just going to grab one. So when we're finished, you know, we take it down, scrape the ink out. We do that all over here to keep it away from anything. But then you go in reverse. You remove all the tape back off of it. So we have that's called the detaping station. It's over here. And then once you get the tape back off, it actually goes back over to the sink, and it goes into what's called a dip tank, into a chemical that dissolves the emulsion, the green stuff off. Then we clean it with a second wash that makes sure all the ink and everything is out, and then you kind of start over. So you clean it back to its original state, to a clean, all open screen. Then we recoat with emulsion, and you're ready to start the process all over again. So I'll let you finish up now.
Yeah. And so that's the process. And now we've got quite a few t-shirts to print, and we're going to get in on that print run. You know, just as a reminder, those t-shirts are still for sale. We've got the link posted on Facebook, and we'll remind everyone how to purchase those. We'll keep the sales open for several more days, but we'd like to wrap this up next week and have everybody the t-shirts ready to wear. We'll be offering curbside pickup and shipping as well. This has been a really fun project. Unfortunately, you know, the circumstances that we're in allow us to do this, but that's kind of the silver lining, that we're able to invite you guys in, be a part of a project, and allow us to show you behind the scenes work from collaboration all the way to completion. So really excited.
All right, do we have any questions?
I don't know if you answered this question yet, but if not, how do you know how far to load the shirt so the print is placed properly?
Okay, how do we know how to load the shirt so that the print is placed properly? Well, one of the things I talked about is you can use the lasers if it's anything complicated to show you where to load the shirt, or at least show you where the design is going to print. But if you remember back where we talked about when we first burned the screen, we use a little template in there so that all of the film goes onto the screen in the same spot. So pretty much, as a general rule, the top of the design always falls at the same place on the press when you're printing it, within a few, really within a few millimeters, you know, so it's really close all the time. So usually there is a set way of loading it, which is, you know, about half of the collar off of the edge of the shirt, or edge of the pallet top. But anyway, so it does vary some, you know, if it's a small design or a round design or something, sometimes you print them higher, sometimes you print them lower. So the general rule is you really just have to look at it and make sure you're loading it in the right place. But once you get that decided of where to load it, most of them are the same as you go. The exception to that is sometimes as you get into bigger shirts, you might actually want to load them a little bit lower on the shirt just because they're bigger.
Yeah. And if you've got a run that's got, you know, youth small, like this one, youth small shirts all the way to adult 3 or 4XL, you know, sometimes you'll start scooting it down as you go, because we'll always print smallest size to largest size.
Yeah.
What happens if ink gets on the shirt somewhere by accident and it can be cleaned off?
Yes, we have a little gun over there. It's called a gun, but it's a little sprayer, and it uses a chemical that's usually referred to as spiff. I don't know what spiff actually stands for, but it's a little gun, and it only, you basically spray it, and it'll spray out any ink that accidentally gets on the shirt. And the funny thing is, it only removes ink. Like if you mark on yourself with a Sharpie or an ink pen or something, it won't get that out. It'll only remove the plastisol ink.
We try often.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of breaks down that ink, and then the gun, the force will actually push it through, much like when we were burning the screens yesterday. So it's got the breakdown and the force through.
And as a general rule, it doesn't harm the dye and the material on the t-shirts at all. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool stuff. It's a lifesaver.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps us up. Thank you for joining us on the Madison County T-shirt project. Again, this has been really fun. We're going to get to producing the rest of the shirts that were ordered before 3 o'clock yesterday. Then we're going to continue to order the blanks in and print those for orders that continue to come through. So we'll be in contact with you when your T-shirts are ready for pickup or when they're shipped out. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us, to call, or to message us on Facebook. You got anything else?
I don't think so. Thank you all very much for participating with us, and it's been really fun.
All right. Thank you all. We'll see you.